Welcome back to Stamping at the Warren, and I'm Kim Tolton, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a version of this box here. It's quite a nice size and you'll get quite a bit in there, and I've made this for a friend of mine, and the box is a very simple box. I will be mostly showing you how to put the flowers together. There are a few products that you need and I'll talk you through them. So your main cardstock is going to be a piece of Whisper White cardstock that measures, this is thicker Whisper White, so it is a little bit more robust for the base of the box. So this is 21 centimetres by 21 centimetres. And then there's a piece of Sweet Sugar Plum cardstock, which will be for the lid. So I've done it the opposite way round to the one on my example. And this measures 11.5 by 11.5 centimetres. And that's the two bits that make your box. Then the other products that you need, this is the new classic label punch. It's kind of taken over from the modern label punch. This has got nice banner ends. Then you need the Botanical Builder Framelits dies, which makes the flowers and the leaves. The Bold Butterfly, which is for this delicate little butterfly. So we'll be using those, and then we've got the Thoughtful Banners stamp set, and we're using a little label stamp and a sentiment from there. The other bits that you will need is some basic pearls, and then most of this is all scraps and offcuts of cardstock. So what we've got here is some Emerald Envy, there's some Sweet Sugar Plum, there's some Blushing Bride, that's Floaty Flamingo, sorry, that's not Blushing Bride. And what else have we got? Peekaboo Peach, there's the Blushing Bride, and some more Sweet Sugar Plum. So just any bits of offcuts that come from a similar sort of colourway that's going to blend, and you'll find that you'll be able to do this and interchange it with any of the colour collections from Stampin' Up. You also want the Sweet Sugar Plum ink pad. You'll want a finger dauber, sponge dauber, and you'll need some Sweet Sugar Plum ruched ribbon. And apart from some adhesives, I think that is pretty much it. So let's do the card first. Not the card, the box first. So I'm using my stamping trimmer purely because I don't have space to get my scoring tool up here. So with the smaller piece of cardstock, you're just going to score on all four sides at 2 centimetres. Make sure you move your cutting blade out the way if you're using the trimmer. Otherwise you end up cutting your cardstock and then cursing yourself. Like I nearly did there. That's the lid, and then the base you're scoring at 7 and 14 centimetres. And then rotate by 45 degrees and repeat, so 7 and 14 centimetres. All of the dimensions will be on my blog, which goes live the same time as this video. So don't worry. Right, let's put my trimmer away. Then you want to grab your bone folder and fold and burnish each one of those score lines for both the lid and the base. And the two are assembled in exactly the same way. Sorry. Okay, and then you want your paper snips, and you're cutting the opposites just to the first score line and just notch it out slightly. It will just give a very nice finish to the box. You can see I'm only removing the tiniest little wafer. It's just really that fold. Okay, and you repeat exactly the same on the opposite side, so you just rotate by 180 degrees and repeat with that other side. Remove those little bits. You could pinch them out with your fingernails. And then just the same with your larger piece, so you're just going to go to the first score line and then just notch it out a little bit by removing the crease. Move along to the second score line here, second across, and up to the first score line. Rotate it by 180 and repeat at this end. And this really is a very sturdy box, and as you see the way it's constructed, you'll understand what I mean. Right, just remove all of those little pieces nice and quickly. And there we go. So you've got your two pieces. You then want some good old Tombow multi-purpose, and this is a new one, so I've got to find the edge. Should have opened it first. There we go. And Tombow needs to be used very sparingly. So if you turn this upside down, you can hold that flap and that flap over, and then just put, that's way too much, way, that's gone overboard. So just hold it in place. You get a bit of movability for a couple of seconds, which gives you a chance to get this nicely placed. And then whilst that side's doing, come round to the opposite side that you did put some glue on. And then you would just repeat, pop these two sides over, little bit of glue. And don't mistake this for being equal to craft glue or PVA glue. This stuff is incredibly firm bonding, and once it's bonded, it's bonded. And that is your little lid. And then for your base, we are wrapping this up like a present. So you're going to have two panels in the middle here. These two go up, these two go up. So this time you're actually sticking on these inside pieces, and for this it's easy to go round in a vague square and a bit of a squiggle, and you bring in those two sides. These come round, and then you do the same here, and you'll see the benefit of having that movability. So that's allowed me to really get that nicely placed. And I've lost my other sticky side. There it is. So that comes round here. Place that up nicely, give it a nice press. And then you do the same with these two. So you're actually getting 3 layers of cardstock. Which makes this an incredibly nice firm box. There you go, so that's your box. There goes your lid. And before anything else, we're going to put some ribbon around this, and it is tone on tone, so it isn't completely monotone, this project, but it's not far off of it. Right, so I've just measured around there, then bring in your tear and tape. Good old adhesive, this brilliant stuff. Run that along. And this will just give a slightly different texture where it's adhered to the lid of the box. Remove the protective backing. And then start in one place, and then you just want to try and keep it as even as you can, making your way right the way around that lid, and then just overlapping there. So it just creates a slightly different texture on that lid there. And that's the basic box made. Next is the flowers, and I've got some examples that I've already made here, and I'm going to show you how I made one of these. Okay, so this is using all tiny little bits with leaves, and this is kind of the larger version of that, and this is 3-dimensional, you can see here, with little petals that all come up. So, oh, there's another little one here, look, there. Right, so what you need is your Big Shot, and I have already put my dies on the cardstock. I'm using the magnetic platform. I find it a lot easier when you're using thinlits or framelits dies, and it holds them nicely in place. If you haven't got a magnetic platform, use your multi-purpose platform, and just you may need to use some post-it notes or washi tape, low tack washi tape, just to hold things in place so that they don't move as you're die cutting. So I've just put a selection of the dies from the Botanical Builder Framelits dies. Pop a second cutting plate on the top, and in that goes through your Big Shot. There we go. Pop my Big Shot down. Take the lid off, and then you might need a paper piercing tool to help. Most of these should just come straight off. And this cardstock here is actually Watermelon Wonder, so I wanted to use not Blushing Bride, it's Watermelon Wonder. I wanted a bit of a contrast whilst keeping with using just in colours. So I've used a little bit from both of the in colours or in colour collections. So you just take all of your dies out. There is, I think, 14 or 15, I can't remember if it's 14 or 15 dies in this pack. Some of them are incredibly small, as you can see here. So I tend to put them away as soon as I've used them, rather than losing them. I've already lost one very small little centerpiece, and it's just a bit of a nuisance. Right, so I've taken everything off of there. Now you can see with this one here, it's not come out of the die. All you do is pop your paper piercing tool into the little holes on the back of the die, and you will find that they come off really, really easily. Because it's so easy to lose these little dies, I'm going to put them away straight away, and then I don't lose them. I count them in and I count them out every time I use them, because I do worry about it. Nothing worse than not being able to use something because you've lost half of it. Right, so I have already die cut out some other pieces of flowers, and I've also die cut one of the butterflies, the small butterfly, very decorative, from the Bold Butterfly Framelits dies. So this is all Watermelon Wonder, and this coordinates really, really, really nicely. You can see here with the Sweet Sugar Plum and the Flirty Flamingo. So I'm going to use Flirty Flamingo, little flowers I've pre-cut, and we're going to make them into a little fleur. And I've also pre-cut some little fern leaves, and that should be sufficient for what we need. Right, first thing to do is get your sponge dauber and your Sweet Sugar Plum ink pad, ink up, and then I'll show you on this one first. You're just going to distress the edges a little bit of each of your flowers, and you will find it creates second colours and a depth of colour. So if we start with this little one, because obviously we're using Flirty Flamingo here with Sweet Sugar Plum ink pad. And it's so quick and simple to do this with your stamping, your little sponge daubers, and then just put a bit of texture in the middle there, just with a couple of little daubs. Repeat with this smaller piece, smaller flower here, and actually in doing all of this you're also softening up the cardstock, which will make it easier to use to make into flowers, because it's breaking down the fibres a little bit. It gives it a slightly more natural feel. With these, you want to kind of try and get both of those layers at the same time. You don't want it to be too regular. Most people worry far too much about having everything even, and I firmly believe that nature is completely imperfect and often random. And if I show you with the Watermelon Wonder how you get, again, how this helps to tie one colour cardstock into another. And it gives this particular die cut really gives a lot of depth of colour to the whole project. There you are, there's some of those. And I'm going to use this there's a little bit of die cut left in there. And with this one, I'm just going to give it a bit of a sponge daub. There we are. And those colours will lighten up as they dry. I'll put a little bit in the middle there. There we go. Right, so to put your flowers together, you want a mixture of Stampin' Dimensionals and fine tip glue pen. And here we go. Let's go with the Flirty Flamingo, and you want this little one here which kind of goes over the top, and you want a piece of Stampin' Dimensional. So the easiest way to do that, you can see these little edge bits which are waste really most of the time. Most people throw these away. I don't. I use them. So that can go on the back, and that will give a little bit of height straight away to this project as we pop that in the middle there. Get them all overlapping. Then a whole Stampin' Dimensional on the back of that flower. And then with this one here, again you want another little snip of a dimensional. It doesn't want to come off. Sticky bits come off now. Now that got to get this piece off. Do it that way. Right. So on the back of this one, pop it down. And I've just seen there's another little bit. I do like to get all those little bits out. And loosen up all of your little fronds, and that goes in the middle there. That gives you some real height to that part of the project. Next is to put these leaves on, and this is where your fine tip glue pen comes in. Just apply a little, and it is only a little, glue on those two bottom leaves and the stem. Take your flower, pop it on the back, and you just need to hold it down, and it only takes a few moments for this to bond. And isn't that pretty? Look at that. How simple was it? There you go. You can bring back in your lid here, and it's time to decorate. And this is where it can be completely random, and it is entirely down to you. So we'll just bring in some of these other colours because they all work together, as you can see here. So just to decide on where you're going to have everything, and start popping them down. And I need a dimensional on the back there. And then this little one can go in here, so again another dimensional. And those dimensionals really help in giving a much more natural feel to this. And you can slot them in and around. There you are. So that's the basic box. You just want your paper piercing tool and some basic pearls. I quite like these large ones in the centre of the bigger flowers. And I think that is probably enough. And then I don't know what, this little one, I think that's going to fit in there. Yeah, pop that one in there. Now I think it has a real tropical fruit salad sort of feel to it. Right, pop these to one side, and I shall be using those again in another project. And I've got my mock-ups of these particular cards, these boxes, and I just use them in my mock-up box. I pop them in there to keep them safe. Right, the butterfly will be putting on in a moment. Before that, I want to do a little banner. And this is where the Thoughtful Banners comes in. And I'm going to use Sweet Sugar Plum again, just to keep it all nicely coordinated. And have I got any Whisper White cardstock? No, hold on a moment. Sorry about that, I had everything else there except for some Whisper White cardstock. Right, so first of all I'm going to do the little banner. There. And then bring in the words, which just says celebrate. Now when you first use photopolymer, you will find it stains the photopolymer. That's completely normal and actually makes it much easier to see where you're going. That can be closed. Bring in your punch, and you can see there it coordinates beautifully. For me, that is Stampin' Up's absolute strength, is the coordination of everything. So there's your little banner. And I'm going to use my bone folder just to help me get a bit of a curl on there, because we're going to be popping this down across the box. And to help us do that, I'm going to use a couple of glue dots, one for either end. and have it so it just bows up a little bit. Decide where your butterfly is going to go, and again Stampin' Dimensional on there. I think that is going to fit in perfectly. Just where should we put the butterfly? I'm going to put the butterfly over here, and then the Celebrate just pokes through there, and there you have your box. Now you could, if you want, stamp your cardstock here, and in this example here I used a coloured cardstock on the bottom of the box. So it's entirely up to you really what you decide, but I hope you've enjoyed that. I've tried to keep it as quick and simple for you as I can, and I'd love to see your versions of these boxes. So don't forget, start following my Pinterest community board. Details are in the Show More section of today's video, along with my online store and all my other social media accounts, so you can choose to follow me however you want. And what was I going to say? Yes, do leave comments. If you start following my Pinterest board and I can see that you have a keen interest in Papercraft, I'll send you an invitation, and if you want to start pinning on my board, then just accept the invitation and away you go. You can start pinning. And that's it for today. Thank you just one other thing. Links to my blog. So to link today's video to this, you'll see a little eye icon in the top right of the video. So all you need to do is hover over that. You'll see a card come up. Usually says something like today's tutorial or something like that. Just click on there and it will take you straight to today's project. Alternatively, if you're viewing from my actual channel page, then just click on the link that's beneath today's project and today's video, and again that will take you straight to the blog post with all the dimensions and products used in today's project. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again very soon with another project. Ta-ta for now.